Man's gotta do, man's gotta do. Ooh,
Fucking soon. Man's gotta do what a man's gotta do. Man's gotta do what a man's gotta do. People say it, so it's true. And if they diss me, I'll fucking sue. Man's gotta do what a man's gotta do.
Clips, clips. Alrighty, YouTube's another one of Kips Clips, and welcome to the World InfoWar News at 1 live. And your God is stupid, and mine's has common sense. And this is the latest rhetoric that is coming out from Duterte over in the Philippines. And since the Philippines has been playing America off the China and China off America and sitting in the middle and getting fucking rich and loving it, you've seen a lot more negative stories coming out about Duterte and who he is and what he's all about. And him feeding people to alligators and wielding Uzis and all sorts of good stuff. Everything you want from a good character in a James Bond. Everything you want from a villain in a good James Bond movie. So welcome one and all. If you do appreciate the World InfoWar News, make sure you thumbs it up. Share it with your friends, family and foes. Please help the show and the channel grow. I rely on you guys and girls at home to try and tell somebody that doesn't know about the show that may appreciate it. So this is the Island of Independence as the info war rages on. I'll be showing you the BBC's, the RT's and the UK column. Two info warriors from the mainstream media. And an info warrior from the independent media who's only there to tell you the truth. Honest, they aren't participating in the info war. No. And I'm wearing Brian Gerrish's fucking colours today, I just noticed that. Viva la revolution! Colour of revolution. Anyway, so welcome one and all. Make sure you share it, friends, family, foes, all that good stuff. If you get value and appreciate what I do and you like it, feel free to use the Patreon and PayPal buttons down below. It's digital busking. Everything's available and accessible free of charge, and I hope you guys and girls appreciate it so much and like what I'm doing. Get something out of it, get some genuine value to put a few pounds into the digital hat. As I said, it is digital busking, and your life and your spare change, not your life savings. You can put your life savings in there if you want, but I wouldn't recommend it. As it just goes on hookers and below. So spare change, you appreciate what I do, Patreon and PayPal buttons down below, and mega thanks to everybody that does show some support that way. In the afternoon one and all, there's Chinny, a McVicker, a Mr. Brown in the town, Blazing Stars, how he's all doing. There's Great Prick and Vladimir. Well, I'm not sure, Great Prick. Is it so you can get angry old woman to come in and go, pedophile? I'm pretty sure she could throw bacon at me through the fucking Skype, she would have. But any time, man, I'm happy to do it anytime. It's just a waste of fucking time, to be quite honest. But my Skype details are there. My Skype's always open. I mean, why not make this show a wee bit more entertaining? And if you want to phone in and call me names, the Skype details are always below. My Skype is always open, and everybody's always welcome to contact me on Skype. Tonight, I'll open up my Skypes and all that as well, and anybody want to phone in with that. So, before we do the triple prong attack, I'm going to primarily concentrate on RT, because it looks like they're turning into a news channel again. They're actually doing some news instead of just 95% football and then one light propagandistic message at the end, just to keep the football sweet. But what I wanted to show you was yet again the little snowflakes of Tommy Robinson's army. Just keep coming. So these are the ones that are for freedom of speech, and they don't like the snowflakes for getting all upset at their fucking racism and bigotry. Get upset and mass flag videos, and do you know what? I'm appealing this, and I will win the appeal, and then it will get on age restricted again. In the meantime, just like them kicking me off Twitter, just like them mass flagging videos that poke fucking their heroes with sticks. All they can do is call me oh man, I'm a conspiracy theorist again. Hey, all they can do is call me a conspiracy theorist. Independent doesn't mean they're independent. Honestly, that's like some of the fucking comments I've got. Independent doesn't mean that doesn't have a view. They're calling themselves independent journalists. They're dressing themselves up as independent journalists. Journalists are meant to be independent. Yeah, oh man, these people's lack of ability to comprehend fucking the meaning of a word, the things I'm saying, they can't actually counteract what I'm saying. Look, that guy there is pushing the same politics as the British Constitution Association. Kidding on it's for you, the man on the street, because he drinks a pint, you know, like Nigel Farage. And then when you point to the British Constitution Association, not group, you see it's all fucking elite scumbag landowners of the British Empire. And then it all fits into context. So the little snowflakes of Tommy Titbag, Tommy Tiny Tears Army. It's freedom of speech to fucking throw bacon at Muslims. Mob. Don't like wee YouTube videos like mine pointing out the coordinated campaign of the Truther Industrial Complex, who Sargon's working for, who fucking Rahim, that foreign muck name I can't say, the guy that's fucking the most Jew-looking, non-Jew immigrant hater, son of immigrants I've ever seen in my life. Whew, man of contradictions. When does a caricature of a Jew not a Jew? When he's the when he's the son of immigrants who now hates immigration. Can't make this shit up. But anyway, so the snowflakes of the Tommy Tiny Tears army have out there been butthurt again and mass flagging that particular video. So, I've appealed it. I will win the appeal again. But in the meantime, it just gives me fucking examples of these little freedom. This shows you that there isn't freedom of speech they're after. It's freedom! Dum of speech. Because they're a bunch of fucking dummies. Anyway, I digress. So, we will be doing the triple prong attack. UK columns, the BBC, and the RTs. Let's start it off with Russia Today.
Day 13 at the FIFA World Cup will decide which teams from Groups C and D will join France and Croatia in the last 16. And it's a nervous time for Lionel Messi, congregating near Red Square as their crucial encounter with France kicks off in Moscow's Luzhniki Stadium in less than 2 hours.
Some live
in other news,
updates,
RT correspondent Paula Slear is denied entry to Ukraine as she heads to a human rights conference dedicated to press freedom. And senior US officials are hounded by groups of anti-Trump protesters using tactics from stalking to chanting to make them feel uncomfortable wherever they go.
I mean, that's literal brown shirt tactics, isn't it?
International, broadcasting live from Moscow.
Oh, hello, Katie. She tells me the truth all day long, all night long. She tells me the truth. She tells me the truth all night long. Her politics are telling me the truth. Telling me the truth.
And it's another make or break day this Tuesday at the FIFA World Cup with the 4 final games in Groups C and D. Indeed, Croatia are already through to the knockout stage and they take on Luzhniki Stadium in less than 2 hours. French fans, of course, are also in Russia to support their nation.
Football.
6 points, which, as we've already said,
Football.
hooligans and violence during the tournament. But it seems the
End of football. Woo! What a goal! Woo! What a goal! Goal, 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 goal! Hang on, is there any football?
Well, in the run-up to the World Cup, some in the British media seem less interested in the beautiful
football?
game and more in scaring the fans off. Threatening headlines warned of Russian hooligans and violence during the tournament. But it seems the predictions didn't turn out to be all that accurate. RT's Igor Zhdanov takes a look.
A celebration of unity, good sportsmanship and an inspiration to a future generation of athletes.
That's that, sir. Paul, somebody tell his mum and dad he's escaped from the child babysitter. I was going to say childcare. See the amount of Americanisms that slip into your nut without you even understanding it. Little Igor here is escaped from his babysitters. Stole an RT mic and managed to get himself on TV.
In other words, something that World Cup 2018 appeared not to promise to all those English fans.
He does look about 12-year-old, and in all seriousness, he does look 12.
The whole time we've been here in Nizhny, it seems there's been somebody following us, at least one car, sometimes three, and I think there's one of them.
So we're just off Red Square, and Russia is preparing for the party. And they are A, taking no chances, and B, letting the world know they're taking no chances.
But let's be frank, the media is notorious for seeking scandal.
Across as well, so wow. I took a train across and then...
So after decades of hurt for English fans, the 2018...
there, sorry.
Speaking about the Danes, actually, for one man, this game is
football.
After the game.
Great stuff. Thank you very much.
Limbo, waiting to hear or see what's going on, and at the moment there's no border police surrounding me. I arrived at about 8 o'clock this morning local time. I'm supposed to be attending a conference organised by the Organisation for Security and Cooperation.
Bear in mind, she isn't a journalist. She works for RT. Spook / propagandist / talking head. And not her, like she ain't Batman or She-Ra or anything. She isn't the head of the snake. She just gets paid a pretty price to deliver what she's told to say coherently. So it's not her in particular, but it's the mechanism of the propaganda outfit which is Russia Today. But Russia Today wrapped the news to me, and they've got watching the Hawks. Russia Today's a Triffer channel. Ron Paul's on it. Alex Jones is on it. And all the members of the Triffer Industrial Complex at some point are on it. They must be telling you the truth.
Europe, and the conference is devoted to press freedom and media plurality in Ukraine during times of conflict. Now, it's quite ironical that I cannot even attend the conference, and it's not only me. There's another Russian journalist who's also been detained and is being deported. So while the deliberations will happen throughout the course of the day, and as I'm speaking to you, they're deliberating media freedom in Ukraine, we're stuck here at the airport, unable to attend because we represent Russian.
You need a new script writer, Hen. Ironical. It's kind of ironic, isn't it? The word that she's using, then she gets wrong. But hey, there's nothing better than listening to the pidgin English, especially East Europeans. Listen to their pidgin English. Some of the stuff they get round the wrong way and say wrong is beautiful. It's like almost poetic.
Networks. Now, I had checked in advance if I was on any blacklist because I have reported in Ukraine in the past, and the information I had was that I was not. So it wasn't clear that I would have passport problems. When I arrived, they...
Oh, so you work for RT, you're aware that the people that RT are demonising, which is Russia's enemies, might not want you there. Because you're not there to objectively report, you're there to put Russia's spin on things.
Checked my passport. There was obviously something that flagged in it. I travel on a British passport, and they pulled me aside, and for about an hour and a half they kept me off to one room where they were checking things. They asked me for my press ID. They asked me why I was attending, and I gave them the conference agenda. And then just suddenly they called me into the room. They said, we have orders from above. You are being deported. You are not allowed to come back into the country for another 5 years, and you need to sign here. There wasn't any explanation given. They explained that what I was signing was essentially what they had told me verbally, and then they brought me over here. To be fair, they treated me okay.
To be fair.
Already given its official reaction, expressing regret and stressing all participating states should facilitate free travel for journalists across the region. Well, as we've asked a number of media organisations to comment on the situation, among them Reporters Without Borders and the International Association of Journalists, and we're still waiting for their response. The International Federation of Journalists has already replied to us, though, saying
Ukrainian authorities not to allow Russian journalist Yevgeny Primakov and RT correspondent Paula Slier
20 minutes. Football. And Ukraine didn't let a propagandist from RT in. And I think the fucking stream's fucked up now. Damn it. Hold on. Kicking in. Come on. So I don't know exactly what happens with this sometimes. There was anti-Trump stuff. There was actually 2 stories that weren't football in it. Let's just refresh.
This attempt of OSCE to promote freedom of speech, freedom of media in Ukraine is a very good initiative. But of course, it will not work if Ukraine is not willing to tackle this challenge, where it hurts the country most. And it's very odd to see that Western governments are not really opposing the government of Ukraine in this point. They only challenge always Russia in respecting the Minsk agreement, etc. But they are not putting enough pressure on the Ukrainian government in these aspects.
Top US officials are being hounded by anti-Trump activists over the president's recent stance on immigration. We'll have more on that story after the break.
The fucking hell, tell it! The first story they go to. Whew. Right, so let's refresh. Football. Ukraine is bad for what they do in Ukraine. And I'm not defending the actions of what's happened in Ukraine. What I'm pointing out is, call her a journalist is... It's almost like calling somebody from the BBC a journalist. They're pretty much a spook. They're an extension of the state's security apparatus. They aren't independent. They're as much an independent journalist as Sargon of fucking Mossad and the Truth for Industrial Complex members. So, before we go to UK column, and let me see. Right. Honestly, I'm not here to debate with fannies, right? So call it censorship, call it what you want. I just can't be arsed dealing with morons. To be quite frank, I can't be arsed wasting time on answering stupid questions. But I'll answer that first question. I've got barrages of UK, I've got barrages of RT, I've got barrages of Press TV, I've got barrages of all forms of what then I perceive to be alternative media up on my channel. My channel's been up 8 years ago. See them when I started my channel? Different kind of attitude as to I do have right now. And a very different perspective. Why? Because I've been on a learning journey, a learning curve up and down, and my opinion pretty much has never stayed consistent over that time. It's continuously evolving. So for some time, like a lot of people still to this moment, I assumed the UK column was great because they were telling me how bad the BBC was. And I agreed with them. I could see what they were saying had some truth to it. It took a while down my journey to the penny drop that I understand that they were just on the opposite side of the info war. They're the complete opposite to the BBC. They're not the antidote, they are the opposite. 2 sides of the same coin, let's say, just different masters. So, and then I don't need to fucking waste, and nobody else needs to waste their time engaging with morons. It's just, it's a waste of everybody's time, and going Go and throw bacon. Go and fucking find some brown people to throw bacon at, man. There's a better way of spending your time. Fucking morons. I know I'm on mouse and I've never had this. I've never went back. I've retracted things I've said and I've said, whoa, look, I've fucked up, made a mistake there. If you go and look hard enough, you'll even see a clip on one of my channels, me reporting that Arnold Schwarzenegger was dead when it was like a fraud website that done the rounds numerous times, and in my ignorance stroke innocence, because it wasn't willful ignorance, it was just me innocent of the fact that there's a lot of bullshit out there on the internet. I hadn't realised that Wag the Dog had came to the internet yet. I was just still watching it on my TV going making crosses at my television and stuff. So I mean, there's no even anything to address or how. I mean, if people can't actually just understand that's the actual progression of a human wanting to learn, then you're a Tommy fucking Robinson fan who still thinks he's a political, trying to spin this pish that he's some sort of political prisoner. Aye, I meant to be telling the jokes. Anyway, hopefully that'll clean the chat up a wee bit for some people. We'll go into the UK column in a while. Let's do some BBCs. See what they're telling us.
Prince William remembers the 6 million Jewish people killed in the Holocaust on his first visit to Israel. And
Really? And you're still going to claim that 6 million figure? It just gives the fucking everybody ammunition to point and go, something don't smell right all about that whole fucking story that came out after World War II that people are still getting manipulated with to this second. Still making people's arseholes twitch when they talk about certain subjects. Fuck, there's people in jail for asking questions. And I'm not talking about Tommy Robinson. He's in jail for breaking bail, breaking his licence, whatever variant you like. And remember, a convicted fraudster who pleaded guilty twice to the charges he's getting held on, and is now asking you for money to fuel his defence. How can you defend him? How can he defend himself when he's already pleaded guilty? He can't. He can't because he knows he actually... the PO... No, sorry, down there it's the Crown. Right? The Crown... The evidence the Crown has to prosecute him under existing laws, which they have done, which he pleaded guilty to, the evidence was provided by who? Let me hear you say it, just like old Hulk Hogan. Oh, Tommy jailed himself. Oh, Tommy provided the evidence to the Crown for them to fucking serve. Woo! Anyway.
And the Palestinian territories. Prince William meets the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu on the third day of his tour.
His wife does look like Miss Piggy, doesn't she? I mean, it's fucked up. Why have you got Miss Piggy and Ezra Levant, Waka Waka Waka, Fuzzy Bear, and the Muppets? I think they're really dead Hollywood actors and they just play dual roles. One role's in the Muppets, one's on the geopolitical.
Of the Middle East.
I, like you, look forward to understanding lots about the region and about hoping that peace in the area can be achieved.
Ah man, that was almost a good one as fucking watching Miss Piggy.
Have the latest from Jerusalem. Also this lunchtime. 2 people have died and 20 injured, some of them seriously, in a crash between a double-decker bus and a lorry in Cambridgeshire.
Random
The
violence.
firefighter who led the first response to the Grenfell Tower fire said he had no idea the cladding was flammable and would cause such a devastating blaze. A couple from southwest London are jailed for life with a minimum of 30 years for murdering their French nanny. Investment in the motor industry has halved in a year. The trade body blames the uncertainty caused by Brexit.
Yes!
And controversy at the World Cup around the use of V.A.R. called into play 4 times last night.
And coming up on BBC News, can the little man and Argentina find a way through at the World Cup? They must beat Nigeria to progress.
Post. Right, let's do this quickly and I can get out of here.
Hello, good afternoon and welcome to the BBC News at 1. Prince William has remembered the 6 million Jewish...
Oh, God, man. 6 million Jews. Yep, it's the Jews, only the Jews, always only the Jews, and only the Jews that Hitler fucking rounded up. Now, it's something coincidentally, people will notice, like, the weird relationship between the Jews and Masonry, right? Masons were also one of the groups that Hitler was rounding up and throwing in those prisoner of war camps, as well as some selective groups of Jews. It wasn't just like Jews in general. It was selective Jews. Like, Jews are like every other fucking bullshit fucking religion. Within that, they've broken into hundreds of different weird ass groups who compete with each other to be the fucking best and that group as a whole. Anyway.
Jewish people killed in the Holocaust during the first official...
Yep. Hit that home. Remember, the reason they need to sell you that so hard and without question is because that's the linchpin, the whole creation of the state of Israel. And you still always caveat that with the Jewish supremacist, apartheid, racist state of Israel. But maybe I'm wrong, but my understanding of it now is Jews are no more in control of that than they are of Judaism. The religions aren't controlled with the flock, they're controlled with the shepherds, and the shepherds of the religions, in my humble opinion, don't actually believe the shit they tell the sheep, the flock.
A royal visit to Israel and the Palestinians.
And the Palestinian territories.
Moving, and he also has a personal...
We need to provide the capability to ensure the defence and security of our country and our people. And if that requires some additional money, then that surely is one of the first priorities of government.
My problems!
The Prime Minister, if she
my
doesn't
money.
give you more cash.
The Defence Secretary Gavin Williamson is also pushing very hard for a hike in spending. And there's pressure coming from further afield. These NATO exercises are partly designed as a show of unity amongst members of the Western Alliance, particularly with the increased threat from Russia. But Washington is demanding that member states contribute much more to the costs of the alliance. For Britain and its military forces, this is turning into a key moment, according to some analysts. Can it afford to remain a major global power?
We have slightly deluded the public of late that we have a defence programme which, frankly, we know, the insiders know, those who run the select committees are aware, is unaffordable. So we're, to an extent, living a lie.
And so far, the government seems to be standing firm in rejecting any significant increase in defence spending. Richard Galpin, BBC News.
A couple from southwest London have been jailed for life with a minimum term of 30 years for murdering their French nanny last year. Sabrina Quida and Wessim Madouni beat and starved 21-year-old Sophie Lyonnais before burning her body.
Now, Everyone's a winner here, baby. That is for sure. Everyone's a winner apart from, normal people, normal citizens in the country who just get herded like sheep to support these fucking things. Now, just imagine war is over. And just imagine all the shit he said. But just imagine, right, the rulers of your countries weren't douchebags. And they wanted to actually, the benefit of the citizen was what the rulers actually wanted to look after their citizens. Then, hold on. Oh, right, sorry, I was just looking at the United States being ranked there, but it was just the GDP. Anyway, sorry, I was getting mixed up. It's not the amount they're spending, it's the GDP I was looking at. Right, the gross domestic product, all your NATO ones have to be, I think it's 2.5, they're looking to get all your NATO ones up to. But if you see here, the United States and Russia, US is at 3, Russia's at 4.3, right? They are raping. Now, the Yuki column will never tell you that shit because they're running pro-Russian Federation military-industrial complex propaganda, and they just want to run down the Brits, the EU, and the Yanks for their masters, the Russian Federation and the BRICS cabal. But Russia's screwing over their people too.
Body in their back garden in Wimbledon. Our correspondent Richard Lister is at the Old Bailey. Richard.
Yes, this couple was described as a toxic combination during the trial, which ended in their
random fucking violence. I don't want to hear that. You hear the fucking horrible details. It's going. Grenfell. Right. So with 6 million Jews, random violence with a nanny. Now Grenfell.
The fire had started in his flat on the
call came early this morning.
Police are now appealing for information. They are very keen to speak to eyewitnesses. They've had a number of people come forward so far, but they're particularly interested to get
and colon cancer. GPs, often the first port of call for patients with health concerns.
Stabbing in the dark here, I'm going to presume, or going on the record, that it's going to be anti-NHS propaganda.
This shows the pressures that exist in the system.
Yes,
the report has shown some areas that the NHS could do better, and one of those is in cancer survival, though we are rapidly catching up. We've still got...
I must have a crystal ball here, or BBC must send me their scripts through before we go live. Or is it just that easy to predict? Every story, any story, every day, more or less, on the BBC about the NHS, about the NHS on the BBC is negativity, creating more problems in the perception of the public, which will allow them to demand more taxes. And the taxes isn't even getting spent on services. They're pretty much going through 1,001 private individuals making profit before the service even gets fucking a drip of the money.
Some improvements to be made.
But on Friday, Charlie and Gail Anderson were brutally murdered and their home set on fire. Gail's partially burnt body was found here at the front of the house.
Jamaica.
At the bottom of a steep embankment, Charlie was discovered close to a fence. Police think he was trying to escape and was only feet away from his neighbour's home before he was killed. He too was set alight.
Wanted to fix.
His neighbour says she looked over.
Who knows what went on?
Who knows? And saw a body in the...
Investment in Britain's car industry has fallen by half, according to figures.
Brexit's bad, and that's why we're not making cars
from
anymore.
The motoring sector.
It can be in terms of future model allocation.
Spain are through to the knockout stages after...
And then they go to football and tell you how bad the video referee is after all the moaning about video refereeing. It's crazy, man. Football was just one big continuous controversy. I mean, I listen to Talk Sport quite a lot to detune myself. but there's certain stuff I just cannot listen to on it, because they literally are just creating an argument in an empty house. You know, you get certain presenters that come on, and their job is to be as controversial as they possibly can, to get people talking and irate and stuff, to get them listening and phoning in and create drama. Right, and when you see that in that format rolling out and within the sports and stuff, and it working very successfully, and you hear the presenters shamelessly like defending or taking a position that you know they don't even agree with, or like it doesn't make any sense, they only do it for the controversy, then you get to see that. Then it's a good eye-opener as to how some of the independent media's fake drama is there just to create fucking a storm in a teacup, argument in an empty room, argue about things that do not matter, to cause drama and controversy, to get people listening in, shaking aside, and engaging them with the drama. Anyway, let's do a quick wee look at the UK fifth column. Oh, and if you want to find out how I became the island of independence, the founding father of Estonia, vote us, not them, full elections and my real declaration of independence. Declared myself independent and held 2 general elections, and I didn't go, hello Sturgeon, hello Theresa May, can I be free please? No. I didn't go, I need to write a coat of arms and put it on 10 notice boards with one trouser leg written up, rolled up, and cluck like a chicken for half an hour every third Sunday for 6 months, and then that's me declared myself independent. No, you're going through bizarre rituals that can't really actually be obtained by the people that will never set you free because you're asking their permission. Anyway, statism, the belief that you require permission to be free. So go and check all the videos, mine and other people's declarations of independence is out and stuff. You may enjoy it. What I'll do now, bounce into the UK columns.
Good afternoon, it's Tuesday the 26th of June 2018, just after 1 o'clock.
He's been on the sherry, I think. Oh no, it's not the sherry, it's the red wine, the blood of Christ. Stole it from Bible class.
Welcome to the UK column news. Your host today.
Oh good! They've got a Brit. I've actually got none of these foreign muck presenters anymore. Apart from this Mike Robinson. I wonder if he's related to Tommy Robinson. He's a foreign muck presenter.
Mike Robinson, myself, Brian Gerrish. And before we go any further, you should be aware, of course, that today it is yellow alert. Temperatures are rising. The British government feels that it's vital to warn people that the sun is shining so that, of course, you can take appropriate action, which I believe is run, hide, tell.
Yes, I think so, yeah. Yes, okay. And on that subject, let's move straight over to the OPCW because they are in special session today. Special session called by the UK. Boris Johnson is even there in person today. Fantastic. So they're going to, well, apparently they're going to unveil the long expected report into the alleged chlorine gas attack in Duma a few months ago, if you remember, the one that didn't happen. That's likely to happen this afternoon. But anyway, Boris Johnson was there. Well, why? As we can see here, we need this meeting, he said, to reaffirm and defend the ban on chemical weapons, especially following the poisoning of Sergei and Yulia Skripal in Salisbury in March. That's the missing Sergei and Yulia Skripal, the two that haven't been seen for quite some time and aren't likely to be ever seen again.
Sienna Williams has got a face like Mike Tyson, man, definitely. Anyway, sorry to interrupt the programming.
But what's this meeting really about? It's not really about the Skripals. It's following on from Theresa May's comments at the G7 summit a few weeks ago, if you remember. She said, at this summit we have discussed a range of issues, foreign interference in our democratic institutions and processes, and other forms of malign state activity pose a strategic threat to our shared values and interests. And she said, today G7 leaders agreed to establish a new rapid response mechanism. And of course, one of the rapid responses that she was talking about was the ability to attribute blame for certain events, whether there's any evidence for it or not. Not only attribute blame for certain events, but to have a single narrative across all the G7 nations. And
So
she
he
said
is.
that the OPCW in particular should be given.
Mike Robinson is a Viz character. Now, I think Dallas Goldberg is completely right. Completely right. You do facial recognition on these people, you can see who they really are. Mike Robinson, taken from a comic book.
Extra powers to attribute blame, whether there's evidence or not. So that's what Boris Johnson is attempting to do in Geneva today with the OPCW. And of course, the Russian.
I think Mike Robinson's a robot. That's just a cog turning. It's not him going. No wonder this guy couldn't get a job with the BBC, so he had to go for the UK column.
Have said this. Of course, we're ready to counter Britain's initiative. I believe there'll be a serious discussion of the solution proposed by the UK and expect other draft decisions to be submitted. Well, we wait to see what the outcome of this is. But frankly, this rapid response mechanism, along with the fusion doctrine, continues to move us towards some kind of fascist dictatorship, as far as I can see, where there is no sense.
We are Putin's Russia. Oh, gravy, baby. Oh, gravy. It's only in the UK that these people are concerned about. Everything else everywhere is fine. Donald Trump. Ching. Austria. Ching. Hungary. Whoa, beautiful. What's happening in Sweden? Sweden could be sweeter. Russian Federation. All gravy, baby.
Proof that somebody is required, any level of proof that somebody is guilty of something, no presumption of innocence.
It's very simple. If the government puts its view forward, then the view of the government becomes the truth. You should believe that truth, and if you don't, then you're a rebel, you're a domestic extremist, and the government is going to crush you. This is where it's going very rapidly now, Mike. And of course, hand in glove, we've got the general suppression of free media, because nobody must have an opinion which is different from the government. The government doesn't need evidence.
Remember, nobody should have an opinion different from the UK column, Alex Jones, and of course the independent journalistic juggernaut that is 21st Century Wire. All these independent sources should be blindly believed.
In any way. While you were making that report, I noticed that somebody in our chat box has just posted that apparently on ITV it's being reported that Salisbury homes that have apparently been poisoned are being bought for sums totalling £1 million. So I presume this is to help the street theatre, that the contamination is so bad it's gone into some people's homes. The government is going to step in and buy those homes, creating the evidence.
Oh, I think that's fantastic. That's a precedent being set there. So whenever the fracking really kicks off around the countryside and people's homes are being potentially destroyed as that,
the government will purchase those homes.
Undoubtedly purchase those homes as well. Okay, well that's a precedent.
Fracking? What the fuck's fracking got to do with chemical weapons? Oh, that's right. The Russian Federation through Gazprom don't like fracking. It puts their product under threat. I don't like fracking either, to be honest. I just don't like getting lied to either. And these so-called, like Mr. Toad, Ian R. Crane, that guy doesn't want to save the planet. He's using all these, what do you call it? Save the World Captain Planet campaigns, that's what it is. Captain Planet campaigns, travels the world, saving the world. One enemy of the Russian Federation at a time. And don't stand back and go and point and go, yeah, he's against all this horrible polluting stuff with all these big corporations. But only the Western ones. You see, he never talks about Gazprom doing fracking. He never talks about the fact that the biggest loser to fracking in monetary terms, if it took off or went off, or if it went, if America done it more and stuff, would be Gazprom. Never mentioning that. It's more of a geopolitical pawn between the competing powers rather than anybody want to save the planet.
Being said, now yesterday we mentioned that, of course, there was a defence and foreign ministers meeting, a joint meeting in Brussels for the European Union, and we showed what Federica Mogherini was saying with regards to that. That meeting obviously took place and certain things were agreed. So let's have a look and see what she said at lunchtime.
First of all, we took important decisions to advance our EU defence work in preparation for the European Council. We adopted the rules for...
And I'm against centralisation of power in all forms, in every area of the world, not just in my own right. It can't really work in small pockets, but if you analyse this objectively, the information that they are putting out, let's say you disattach yourself from the emotion of maybe hating the EU because of the propaganda the truth industrial complex has injected into our nuts. If you can do that for 1 little second and you understand, well, who's the biggest opponent to the European Union creating an army, the Western armies flourishing and retaining their dominance? That might be like the BRICS, Russian Federation, the Communist Chinese, and all their little subsidiaries, corporations that suck on their titty. These people never inject any of that into your consciousness because they're only telling you selective wee facts to point you in a particular direction.
This is apparently to make sure that Britain can stay involved with EU defence once we leave the European Union. Who's on the committee? Labour MP for Bridgend, a friend of ours, I believe.
Or not.
Yes.
Right, now what they're going to proceed to do here is tell you how good fucking Russia is and how good Putin is. He's not a dictator. Well, we slip into a dictatorship, and he's going to point at oh my god, we're talking about GDP up to 3. Oh! Well, all the time Russia's running their military spending at 4.3 GDP. Will they ever point at the Russian Federation being bad for that? No, they would go, well, Russia's got to do that, you see, because of all, you know what I mean? They are clearly have a dog in this fight. You got to love that. It's the old Russia spending 66. All the sixes. Wow, that world total. What could you achieve with $1.7 billion annually? Do you think you could feed everybody on this planet? No profit in that. Not as much profit as pointing guns at everybody and maintaining power and dominance over others. Bondage, let's say. Anyway. So, another wee thing absent continues.
Said that the UK's armed forces have
said,
been...
sounds like a fax machine that's stuck.
Hollowed out? Is that not a word that you used?
It was, Mike.
Yes.
Fairly regularly.
And that the Navy was very weak and that air capability was diminished. But don't worry, influence is really important because unless you can back it up with capability, you have no credibility. So
Yeah.
we're gonna need to spend more.
And that was Madeleine Moon's professional opinion as a long-standing social worker, of course.
Yes, indeed.
But presumably Conservative MP Gary Streeter. This is him in the Plymouth Herald. I think it was Friday. But he's giving
pro-Brexit stuff.
A warning that
this is a new report. It comes out of the Project Lord Turnbull report. And basically what happened was that the report last week was leaked. It was leaked online. And this caused pretty big embarrassment for several people, lots of people, including KPMG. So the report, it is in a draft form, so it hasn't been published yet. So the draft was leaked, and it alleges that there's been historic fraud at HBOS Reading branch by senior management prior to the Lloyd's takeover in 2008. And so it goes on. But basically what's happened now is that the F.E.A.R Business Banking, the all-party parliamentary group for F.E.A.R Business Banking, has made some comment on this. They said that the report makes serious allegations against KPMG and that the...
Oh shit, news.
All-party parliamentary group will write to Stephen Hadrill, the Chief Executive Officer at the FRC.
I think with the UK column, man, they need to like break it up. Every 6 minutes, just have Mike Robinson come on dressed as Humpty Dumpty doing fucking a Humpty Dumpty song. Brian Gary's dressed as Gollum, and Henningson, I think it is, dressed up as a cowboy, coming on every so often. Then we need to get Lord Mumpkin back on. You could dress him up as a fucking fly, you know, with his big massive fucking bug eyes. But hey, Lord Monkton's telling you the truth about climate change, everybody, because Lord Monkton was in Alex Jones, you know. Lord Monkton, again, British Constitution Association I would point to, but hey.
To press for...
These lords love it. These lords love you.
New investigation into the KPMG audit of... For that is there some difference between this particular...
Warwickshire was jailed for 12 years in March. So the real question, was he out on bail when he attended the palace? And the Daily Mail doesn't answer that. The headline leads you to believe that a convicted sex offender was attending the palace, when in fact that trial was in its early stages, or at least the police investigation. However, it's fascinating, isn't it? Because apparently the lady in the picture there is involved with counselling and questioning people who've been sexually assaulted. So there's some
pretty murky stuff.
There's some very murky stuff there. Well, if that's one problem for the palace, on Friday, this was the headline, certainly everywhere in Plymouth, which was that former Royal Navy Commander Charles Howson had been found guilty. He was sentenced to 7.5 years. This is for 10 offences, sexual assault offences, to 8 young men. It appeared in Plymouth. The BBC did carry it a little bit in the Daily Mail, but the Daily Mail hasn't reported anything during the trial at all, Mike, which I found rather interesting. This was reported strongly by local papers, and this was his links through to the royal family. This man seemed to have an uncanny ability to call in high-level members of the royal family to support his various causes.
And he seemed to have quite a few high-level people offering him character references at the court cases.
I think there were 35 in total, including former politicians, admirals, lords. This was part of his defence, that he was such a wonderful, upstanding man, he couldn't possibly have committed these crimes. And I think that leads us in nicely to what the judge had to say. Let me read you through this, and we'll see why actually these things were.
God, these are such old men, they can't even just read something.
Against him. You displayed the finest qualities of diplomacy, charisma, endeavour, organisation and charm, which you demonstrated during your period in the Navy and in your extensive and successful career and involvement at the very highest level with public bodies, authorities, businesses, including a bank, that was Coutts Bank, but also in your public and charitable works, mainly associated with the community of Plymouth. And the judge went on, he said this: the hidden and dark truth is these same qualities were the very qualities which enabled you to mask and conceal a dark secret only revealed for the world to see some 30 years later in the...
Crazy. You could almost say, different level, but you could almost say the exact same thing about Brian Gerrish. The thing that made him successful in the Navy is now what's sent him off in the direction to be an independent journalist.
This trial, that secret was your uncontrolled and predatory sexual behaviour towards particularly young or at least vulnerable men under your control. And I think that was a pretty important analysis because, of course, his defence had been on that he was so upstanding, he was so good at what he did in business and charities, he was untouchable. Abuses had taken place, even when we telephoned his personal aide to say to him that there's something nasty going on at the college. Very interesting to see here that in 2002, a gentleman had requested Freedom of Information response asking for the correspondence to do with that visit by the Duke of York to Blackbird Leys campus, that is the OCVC campus. And I was intrigued to see here, Mike, that they redacted who the email had come from originally. So the college has got nothing to hide, but nobody wants to admit to dealing with the royal family. And of course, we pointed out at the time that the cover-up included 3 key women. So we had Sally Dickett's, the head of Oxford Cherwell Valley College. We had Sarah Thornton, obviously the lady in the police uniform, as the head of Thames Valley Police, and Joanna Simmons, who was the chief executive of Oxford Council. All of these women were common purpose leaders, and they were all rewarded, or had been rewarded by the palace for their good works with medals. So astonishing that all these people can be connected to
reforms to electoral law. Apparently after what are being described in the mainstream media as a series of online political campaign scandals. This, for example, involves the scandal with Cambridge Analytica. And they're particularly concerned about the types of advertising and promotional material that's appearing online. So they have called for a change in the law to require all digital political campaign material to state who paid for it, bringing online adverts obviously in line with printed material and leaflets and so on. They want new legislation to make it clear that spending in UK elections and referenda by foreign organisations and individuals is not allowed. They want to increase the maximum fine, which is at the moment £20,000 per offence. So they want to be able to impose more. They want tougher requirements for political campaigns to declare spending soon after or during a campaign rather than much later. And they want all campaigners to provide more detailed paperwork on how they spend money online. They said...
Now, what the UK column are going to go into is their absolute refusal to even entertain for a second that Russia and other foreign elements had a dog in the fight when it has a dog in the fight when it comes to elections in their enemy's country. And their lack of ability to even accept that as a concept shows you that they are, for me, it shows me that they are participating willingly in the Russian Federation's propaganda. Hey-ho. Who am I? I can't even find my mouse. My mouse loose about this house.
Urgent action must be taken by the UK's governments to ensure, you notice it's UK's governments, anyway, to ensure that the tools used to regulate political campaigning online continue to be fit for purpose in a digital age. Implementing our package of recommendations will significantly increase transparency about who is seeking to influence voters online, and the money spent on this at UK elections and referenda. Well, let's have a listen to what he said.
Last April, I had a phone call from the Irish Doctors Environmental Association, and they said, would you address our annual conference in Dublin? And we want one specific thing that we want you to talk about, and only that. They said, don't go into anything else, don't go into Tetra, don't go into the effect on the planet, nothing at all, just this. And I said, okay, what is it? And they said, we want you to talk about the effect of low-level microwave radiation on the ovarian follicles of schoolgirls. And I said, Fine, I can do that. I prepared my talk. I gave it 5G. On early Saturday afternoon in Dublin to the Irish doctors. They asked questions during the afternoon. They block booked a restaurant, and I was faced questions on this Saturday evening. They asked me to come back on the Sunday, and I had further questions just to do with this from the doctors. I had further questions from 11 o'clock Sunday morning to 4 o'clock Sunday afternoon, when I had to leave to come back to get my plane. So I was questioned all Saturday afternoon, Saturday evening, Sunday. I say this because with all the different disciplines, the research which I had stood its ground.
Now, Barry Trower went on because a significant part of that interview was about the issue of microwave radiation and the effect that it has on young teenage girls and their potential ability to have children subsequently, and whether those children are going to be subject to birth defects. And he's talking about Wi-Fi in schools. He's talking about microwave transmissions as well as mobile phone technology and so on. This is an area where the research which is already published is being pretty much suppressed, and much more research needs to be done. I'm going to show that full interview immediately after this program. If
5G is going to kill you.
Wants to watch it, but the describing to make it's
flagged up this one. They basically seen information talking about transforming relationships.
I used to take the UK column seriously on this stuff until they started trying to psychoanalyse Pizza Hut advert as somehow trying to corrupt the children with a pizza fucking advert. But hey, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe Pizza Hut are 666.
And sexuality education. It said research involving children and young people on their experiences of gender and sexual violence has changed Welsh legislation, sparked youth activism on sexual injustice, 100 young people. And some of the images that I've captured, that these are pretty young.
Look at the images, they're terrible.
Teenage girls. And this is one of the things that the professor thinks is helping to education. She is wearing a skirt of rulers, and apparently the rulers are covered in graffiti, which might be sort of against women or against feminists or anything like that. And this really caught my eye because we've got...
But again, this is a guy whose eye got caught with a Pizza Hut advert. Not on the television, a flyer through his door.
Comments on plates. So on the green one it says teachers need to go on courses to learn about the new SRE curriculum in order to provide children with as much information on each topic as possible. It's been written in a way that we're led to believe a child has written that, Mike.
Are we led to believe a child has written that? Is this guy like seeing Jesus in toast? Granted, he goes to Bible school every fucking Sunday, so he's got some heavy fucking pre-programming of the religious fucking ilk in his nut.
I find this very interesting because I don't believe a child wrote this. I think an adult wrote it.
I think you're fucking crazy, pal. Where is there anything to indicate it was written by a kid? And now you're going to come up with crazy ass mind melting bullshit with that, an assumption that most people might not agree with. I mean, first I read that and the first thing that came into my head was, huh? No. Anyway.
Trying to make it in a childish hand. And then it's on the red.
Really? How's it made to be in a childish hand? Maybe if it was in fucking crayon or something and had spelling mistake. He's injecting shit into your nut, which I don't think is there.
Plate, it says stop teaching everything negatively. We've got immature minds, and I mean that in an appropriate way. These are immature minds. They're being taught to challenge normality, and that is then forming government opinion in Wales.
It's very interesting. You know, you didn't see yesterday's news program, but we showed a little bit of video with Bana of Aleppo, the little girl from Aleppo that is commenting on Syria, and she was speaking clearly, either having learned lines for.
That's enough.
Would find in a school classroom.
Then they finish and go into that. So there you go. There was a 3-prong attack. If you do sit and objectively analyse the UK column, they aren't what they first appear, just like the BBC and RT. So hopefully you enjoyed today's incarnation of the World Infowar News at 1 live. If you did appreciate it, make sure you thumbs it up. Tommy's at Warriors have been by. Hey, how you doing, guys? Why don't you go and mass flag some more of my shit, man? It's really makes you look small and pathetic, and it's so funny. And you know what? To me, just taking pictures and documenting this, it adds more weight to the shit I'm saying. And that hasn't been flagged by an algorithm. This is flagged by human beings, and it has to be more than one. And as you can see by the thumbs down, not that fucking there's at least more than 11 people out there who genuinely don't like me and hate me and stuff, but they're not even gauging it on this show or what I'm saying. It's just just keep on thumbs down. You know, it's small-minded, moronic behaviour. Anyway, so there was my video that got mass flagged by the Tommy Tiny Tears Army. Cry me a river, which I've appealed and I will win again, which is quite funny. But they'll try and shut it down any way they can. But I like to document them trying to shut it down, and it adds weight to what's actually getting said in that clip, due to the fact that guy's actually now watched that clip and tweeted it and all that. All good in the hood with me. So thanks for joining, everybody. Make sure you do thumbs it up, share it with your friends, family and foes. I know I say as much as Mike Robinson, but I'm not a professional broadcaster. I'm not here from a big shiny nut and how good I am. So thumbs it up, share it with your friends, family, foes. Please try and tell somebody that doesn't know about the show. I need to rely on you guys and girls at home for a wee bit of the old cross promotion, because it doesn't happen on the YouTubes anymore. If you appreciate, get value from anything I do, there's a Patreon and PayPal buttons down below. Please consider using it. It's digital busking. Everything's available and accessible to everybody free of charge. If you get any value and appreciate what I do, and you've got spare change, not your life savings, consider throwing in £1 or £2 for a pint or a cup of coffee, as AMTV does it. And thanks for tuning in, everybody. I'll say hi to the folks in the chat, and then I am good to go. I'm going to go out and enjoy the cloudy weather, but hey, at least it's warm. Chinny 18, Roberto Carlos, committed escaper. How you doing, guys? Mr. Brown in the town, and Anon Mouse in the house. See how I done that? It's honest. Anon Mouse in the house. Got it in my script down here. Welcome one and all. Thanks for joining, guys. There's a Lopsam as well. Chinny 18. Roberto Carlos, committed escaper. Rick, how you doing, my man? In the afternoon. HK, nice to see you in as always. Lopsam, the artist formerly known as Tony. How you doing, my man? Looking good and lean, Tony, as always, my man. Nice picture you put out the other day, mate. Looking good. Chinny 18, committed escaper. Roberto Carlos. In the afternoon, Mr. Brown in the town. Rick as well. So thanks for joining, one and all, guys. Hopefully I've managed to say hi to you all at some point. There was a great prick. Oh, God. It was in earlier as well. Oh, it must have just been the Tommy Titbag Army in at the beginning. McVicar and Blazing Stars in the afternoon, gents. Thanks for joining, everybody. So make sure you tune in tonight for Not the InfoWars Nightly News. Should be a busy one. I've got 1,001 things to try and organise, as you can see, but it should be a full show. So make sure you tune in for that tonight at 10 o'clock. Not the InfoWars Nightly News, the original alternative look at the alternative media. Skeptical about the skeptics, and watch the motherfucking Watchmen, because somebody's got to do it. And I'll find Catchies here tonight at 10, and tomorrow, as always, at 1 o'clock. Alright to YouTube's Catchies. Work, goddamn you.
Clips. Man's gotta do what a man's gotta do. People say it, so it's true. And if they diss me, I'll fucking sue. Man's gotta do what a man's gotta do. Man's gotta do what a man's gotta do. People say it, so it's true. And if they diss me, I'll fucking sue. Man's gotta do what a man's gotta do. Clips.